So great to be here and so great to connect with all of you today. We're going to look at this amazing and sometimes mysterious process of evolving very fast. In this one lifetime, usually, it can take many, many lifetimes. We're going at it at warp speed here, from evolving from 3D consciousness to 5D consciousness. And so just for those who have never met me or taken any of my classes, I had my awakening happen in January '94 in the Northridge earthquake in Los Angeles. And it was a very electrifying, spontaneous Kundalini activation. And it literally like blew the veils off and opened my awareness to reading energy and seeing where we were heading. And it was kind of like a whole redirect of my life, right? This is '94, right to 2012 and what was getting activated in the planetary ascension that we're now fully in here in 2020. We're fully in it. And so I started my own ascension process 26 years ago. And it's been a lot of learning and, bumps in the road and figuring it out. And about 22 years ago, I started working with clients to support them through their ascension as well, and their spiritual evolution. And it really is an extensive process. I mean, we're going in and we're working on all bodies, right? Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And so it takes some work, and it can be at times confusing. And so I started getting guided by Spirit about 10 years ago or so to start to do training on the steps that I've been guided to go through and the steps that I'm being guided to help my clients go through in this ascension process. So I kind of try to break it down into a somewhat simplified way, just a grounded way that we can understand and apply in our lives. And so today I've got a PowerPoint presentation, so I'm just going to bring that up here. And we're going to go through the slides. So I have put together a presentation here that will give you the background kind of what we're doing. And then we will, as Neil said, we'll pause and we can answer questions. So as I'm going through the information, if questions come up, just go ahead and put it in the Q&A, and then we'll swing back and answer them. And then after we're done with the Q&A, I want to spend about 20 minutes or so and actually do live activations, ascension activations, because this is really the focus of my work. I do monthly big international activations online, and it's really powerful and effective. And so I hope you had a minute to look at the training demo that Neil sent out, just so you can get an understanding of the steps we're going to take, and then we'll go ahead and do some ascension activations. Okay, so that's the plan here. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you're new to this whole process of ascension, although since you are coming in on a class called Portal to Ascension, I'm guessing you're already in it. You're already in it and you're doing it. But just a quick little background. If you see here on this amazing, I just love this picture. This is from NASA. They picked this up on their telescope, and they discovered that there's these gamma ray bubbles that are extending from the galactic center. And as you see, they're about 25,000 light years. Oh my goodness, so that's 50,000 light years total, top to bottom. And this is emitting powerful photonic light into our galaxy. And they're of course, trying to figure out, well, what the heck is all this? So their theory is this is possibly fueled by particle jets from the galactic black hole. We have a powerful spinning black hole at our galactic center. And this is spewing out they're like photon bubbles. And the photon energy is the highest form of light known and transfers intelligence. So photon has no mass. It's a carrier particle, and it transfers data, it transfers information, it transfers consciousness. And so what's happening is, as we move into these photon bubble, we're, our whole planet, our whole solar system, us, we're receiving powerful waves of photonic light and sentient intelligence. And this is coming into our brains, is coming into our DNA, into our energy field, and everyone is being affected by this, even our own planetary field. So what's happening is that they're starting to, the scientists are starting to study this, because what we're seeing is that Earth is magnetic. Magnetosphere, try to say that quickly, magnetosphere is weakening with all this photonic light coming in, and actually the poles are shifting as well. And so this is contributing to, in a way, when the magnetic field is thinning and weakening, it's creating time warps, as you might feel like you, I catch these all the time, where I feel like almost like the ground under my feet just rippled, you know, it's like the whole field is warping and it's expanding and contracting. And there'll be times where I'm, you know, maybe, you know, working on the computer, I'm walking through the room, and all of a sudden I see the whole room go ring, 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 you know, and then it comes back on and you're like, what just happened? So these are signs that our magnetic field is being impacted by all this photon light, and it's part of what's contributing to even the weather changes, the climate changes. Obviously, we have contributed as well with pollution, but we are also seeing dramatic climate change based on the changes happening in the planetary holofield. So what is so interesting is this, it happens in a cycle. And the Mayans tracked this cycle, and when we move into the photon band and we pull out of it, right? So this is, they call it, well, the time that we're more impacted by the gamma ray, the photon light, they called it the Great Purification. And it occurs as a result of this surge in brilliant photonic light consciousness. Boy, I have to say that's how it feels going through. It feels like we are literally in a purification, and they were not kidding. So this is just a real quick background of what's happening on the planet and what's happening to us. And then with the, you know, it begs to ask the question, well, what do we do with all this? How do we take advantage of this? How do we optimize the full impact of this? And so that's what I'm going to go through now. So let's kind of get an overview of our universe and what's happening in our universe and how it operates. I noticed when I started getting, you know, I was going through my awakening and starting to see the universe with my intuitive eyes or psychic eyes, and it was fascinating, and it wasn't like what we see here on Earth. So began to realize that this universe is a holographic universe, and researchers scientists are starting to really get an understanding of this more and more. I only saw it for the last 25 years or whatever through my psychic eye. I'm no scientist. I'm not, you know, I'm not a mathematician. But I am a visionary, and I can see that this universe is very fluid and it's fluctuating. And so the more that our quantum physicists are beginning to discover how this operates, it kind of helps fill in the understanding of what I'm seeing through my psychic eye. So this holographic principle, if this is new to you, it explains the universe is it's a three-dimensional image projected off a two-dimensional surface. And the 2 dimensions, they claim, is data. So this is the intelligence, the consciousness that's fueling into our three-dimensional hologram. And this is, some of you are, you know, aware with holograms, if you've seen holograms and how they operate, they're really pretty cool. But it's basically a projection that creates the three-dimensional image, and it emerges, a hologram emerges from a sheet of photographic film. So this is in a way how our world that we live in is operating. And They believe that the universe is made up of subatomic particles, so that's not questioned anymore, you know, electrons or protons or quarks. But they say even below that, if you dig even deeper, that those particles are made up of something even smaller, and it's this information, it's consciousness, and they have a term for it called qubits. But we're going to just focus on that consciousness that is fueling the holographic projections of our 3D reality. So when I would go into meditation and I would start to view the universe, it looked to me like this kaleidoscope of just infinite arrays of timelines and outcomes and solutions, and they were all kind of flashing in and out, and none of it was really grounded yet. It was potential outcomes and potential timelines. That really fascinated me, because I thought, well, then we're not just limited to this one we're in right now. We have infinite possibilities to choose from. And to a point where it got almost overwhelming, because there was so much infinite possibilities, I didn't even know where to start. So I just began to be in the space with it and feel into it and observe how this was working through my own mind. And as I was working with clients, I'll tell you, 22 years of working with clients has been like my university, just observing how it's working through them and the guidance I would get from them and what they were projecting. It's all been fascinating. So this human mind of ours, it's operating as a quantum computer, and it animates the external world just like as if you were running a movie projector. It's creating this projection. So you're going to hear that word. It literally, a hologram is a projection, and it's running these flashing imagery that I was seeing out in the universe, right? It's our mind is running these flashing images, like freeze frames, again, just like a movie film. And this starts to create our outer reality. And so that begs the question, well, then what's running through the mind that's creating that reality? So if think of it like if you were watching a show on a television, the frequencies are running through the electronics to project that television show. So whatever frequencies are running through our quantum mind, our quantum computer, that's what's creating our reality, basically our TV show, which is our life. So what I've seen as we have kind of micro and macro. So we have our own quantum computer, our mind projecting a certain reality, and you can call it a program, you can call it a simulation, they're all the same. Basically, they are both a program, they're a simulation, and that's the micro. And then we have on the macro level, on a global level, there's also a collective mind that is also projecting an outer reality. And this has been called lots of names, and for the most part, we call it the matrix, or we call it the simulation. This is the program that's running like in the background of everyone's mind. So it's more of the macro simulation, and then we have also our personal overlay simulation. And that's where I started with my ascension processes, beginning to realize we may need to do some deprogramming. And that's part of this process, and I'll get into that more as we get along. But I just wanted to make sure, kind of a quick background of how the holographic state of our universe is running through us and our planetary field. Okay, so we're talking about moving from 3D to 4D to 5D. And so 3D, of course, is the physical. The fourth dimension is space-time. It's also called the astral plane. And this astral plane is around the physical, as you can see here in this image, the astral plane is around the physical body. And it encompasses both your emotional body and your lower mental body. If you can see that, it's the layers closest to your body in your aura or etheric field. So it encompasses both the emotional body and the mental body, and it is the realm of imagination and dreams, our feelings, and also our beliefs, our mental constructs. Now, this astral plane, that's our personal astral plane, and then we have the macro planetary astral plane. And it's actually a very polarized hologram, and it's in creating a sense of linear time, distance, and duality. So that's kind of the program of the global astral plane. Now, as this magnetosphere is weakening, because that's what's holding this in, the magnetic fields lock in with very low vibratory density. They lock in the simulations. They lock in the holographic projections. So as the magnetosphere weakens, that's the good news. It's starting to lose its hold, right? It's not able to lock it in as much anymore. And so the polarized time barriers, or veils, as the spiritual community or channelers call it, the veils, these start to thin and dissolve, and it's opening up more access to the etheric field. So that's the good news. As everything is weakening and the magnetic lock is dissolving and weakening and the veils are thinning, this is what's actually contributing to more and more people awakening right now on the planet. So as you start to go through this awakening, this is the first step of ascension, and it's to unlock from the collective simulation that's running, the collective holographic projection that's been running for thousands of years, and we kind of start to pull out of it. And that's what happened when I had my awakening in '94. All of a sudden I had this like the veils went, and I came in and looked around and was like an observer of myself. So in a way, you begin to come outside yourself. You're no longer being controlled by the program. You're able to step outside and observe the program running in you, observe the program running on the planet. You become an observer. This is very important, and the first step. And then as you start to observe, it's kind of like everything starts to crumble, right? The program doesn't have the power or control it used to have. You begin to awaken to your own authentic thoughts and feelings and intuitions and perceptions, not the programmed beliefs or programmed emotions. So this is the first step of beginning to get free. Now, due to the polarized nature of the astral plane, and what I mean by that, we have, you know, the north and south poles, and it creates this kind of push-pull effect on our planet. It's a polarized field. It's not a harmonious field, as you can tell. It's a polarized field, and so in electromagnetic field, opposites attract, and so that's what we're, you know, we can feel that it's very uncomfortable, actually, of that push-pull between the opposing forces, positive and negative, or light or shadow. These are the, you know, the opposing forces on our planetary field. So that's part of where we begin to shift that as well inside us. We're trying to get out of an extreme polarity in our fields between opposites, and unfortunately we're seeing this really escalating. And it's because of the digital internet. It's because of the internet is in a way exasperating this polarity, and it's getting into the collective mind now. Before the internet, we probably didn't have it as strongly as we do now, but it is growing, and it's getting stronger. So this is something that we have to keep an eye on. But first we start with ourselves. First we start with observing and just kind of acknowledging where that opposite push-pull of polarity is running within us, because we want to neutralize that. We want to get into a more coherent field, not a polarized field. So this is, again, you know, this is when I started journaling. Journaling is a great thing when you go through your awakening, because so much data is coming in, right? So much is unlocking, and so much new awareness is coming. I just had to start writing it all down, and it was really very helpful, because it's helping when you are doing kind of that free flow writing. It opens you to your inner consciousness that was all locked down with the programming, with the simulation. So just a tip, journaling is really great when you're going through your awakening. Okay, so I'm talking about this global simulation, and it's been running for thousands of years, and we've been incarnating into it. And for many of us, as I've seen in client sessions, they keep reincarnating into it. Lots of timelines, lots of lifetimes here in this virtual reality simulation that's running in the astral plane. And so in a way, we've been living under this spell of amnesia and veiled unconsciousness. The unconsciousness is actually what's been running the show. And it all has been disconnecting us from spirit, especially that push-pull of the polarity. It pushes our soul out of our body. And so that's why we want to neutralize the inner polarity so we can actually start to embody the soul. And so this is where when I first had my awakening, it was profoundly strong how disconnected I was from spirit. And so this is why meditation is such a great thing to do in the beginning with your awakening, because you're beginning to quiet that program that's running, the unconscious simulation, right, that's running in the mind. You're kind of getting out of that left brain thinking mind, and you begin to get more into your space, right? So you go, oh, okay, I'm getting into my own pure space and begin to connect back to spirit. One of the things, so we've got this push-pull of the polarity that's creating separation, that's pushing the soul out. We also have time compression, and we experience this as density. So time compression, again, I'm just sharing how I experience it as an intuitive. It's we have in duality, we have dual spin, we have clockwise spin, and we have anti-clockwise spin. And as those dual spins are running, the clockwise spin compresses our energy to really dense particles. This is what's creating our physical matter. This is what's creating the atoms, is the time compression. And it holds us locked in a dense physicality. Again, this creates the artificial reality of separation. So when we begin to work with our own energy, work with our own aura, and we start reverse spinning the time compression, this is when we begin to unlock as well our physicality. So we're awakening and starting to open up from the simulation in the mind. And then we have these tools, these methods to also unlock the rest of us out of time and compression and density and duality and polarity. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do in the activation. I'll show you how to do that. So we're talking about a holographic universe, right? Whatever our quantum computer is picking up, it's projecting as our holographic reality. And at first, I was shocked by it all as I began to see it in action. But then you begin to realize this is amazing. This is magnificent. Once we get a control of our own holographic mind, we can create what we want to intend. And so there's great power in this holographic mind. And this is probably one of the reasons why it's been blocked because when we begin to get inside and work with our own powerful holographic mind, it sets us free. So it has, as you can see, both the possibility of being harvested to manipulate us, or if we get in and take control of it, we become a powerful creative force in our lives and in the world. So this is like it's just a drive. It's a passion for me to be able to share this with people, to help people understand this so that they can start to move out of being mind manipulated and being able to really master your own holographic mind and be able to use it in ways that are pretty amazing. So what's unfortunately happening is as many souls start to awaken out of the global simulation, and this can happen in lots of different ways, but as they start to come more into observer, we're still not really ready to handle it all. Think of it kind of like little baby birds that are trying to learn how to fly. That's how we are. When we come out of the out of the mass simulation, we have no skills or training or abilities to handle it yet. So that's part of the ascension, is learning that mastery. But in the beginning, as we unlock out of the global simulation, we could get drawn into other virtual worlds. And this is where I want to caution everybody. And if you have friends or family or loved ones who are starting to get sucked into these virtual worlds, these are, to me, I call them false holograms, because in a way, they remind me of the Wizard of Oz. You know, great, fancy facade, looks all great and wonderful, but then you open the door and go inside and there's nothing there. It's just a facade. It's a false hologram. And so these are showing up now because of the internet, and they're showing up everywhere. So this is where we want to be very careful. I found when I first awakened, I mean, it was immediate. Boy, my team was not going to let me get in trouble. So I first awakened, I met someone in the neighborhood, we started practicing energy work, which is bizarre in itself because I had never even thought of energy work before I had my awakening. But we started, you know, learning about how to clear chakras and work with the energy field, practicing on each other. And she decided she was going to channel. And I think I must be a natural born skeptic, because I was like, oh, are you sure you really want to try that? And she's like, oh, yes, yes. And she just opened and invited in whoever wanted to channel through her. This is in the mid-90s, and when channeling was really very, you know, very, very just starting to become very popular. And she began to have contact with this ET group that wanted to channel through her, and she said they're all green. And when we would sit in a circle with her and she would call them in, the room would fill with green light. And I was like, this is weird, and it felt creepy, and I stopped going. And she immediately began to start getting sick, because what they're doing is they're harvesting your life force. This is where we have to be very careful who we connect with, what we allow in, especially in the astral plane, because there is so much of this kind of disinformation, propaganda, these false holograms, false timelines, and the conspiracies. The conspiracies are taking off, and these, again, are mind control programs. You're basically unlocking and awakening from one massive simulation, and you're getting pulled into another. Our goal is to clear, clear, clear. We want to get our minds clean and our channel clear, and we only want to connect to our higher self and our spirit team. That is it. That's all I talk to, and I will show you how to do it, because I do not even leave my channel. I only stay within. I don't leave my body. I got a lot of finger shaking on me if I was leaving my body. This is all where we have to be very disciplined and careful and conscious of what we allow to move through our holographic mind. So without trying to like freak everybody out, I don't want to sound like, you know, the grand marm, you know, but I want to really make this point. And if you have questions on this, please go ahead and type into the Q&A. We have to be very careful what we allow through our powerful holographic mind. Okay. So as we're breaking free from the global simulation, oh, I got ahead of myself. We're literally learning how to fly. But problem is we don't have the skills or the discipline or the discernment to navigate the astral plane yet. And especially I find another problem that can happen is, you're trying to learn, you're reading books, you're joining meditation groups, you're starting yoga, but you could also get pulled into a guru as well who will manipulate and just basically is running a cult. So we have to also be careful that we don't give our newly awakened power away to any kind of I would say compromised spiritual teacher or guru. I've been watching the show this week on Scientology by Leah Remini and Mike Rinder, and boy, is that astonishing. This is, if you want to know how this works, that's what's happening. It's very much mind control programming they imprison people pretty much. and you can't get out. It's very difficult to get out. So this is where we have to be very careful. Don't give our power away. And it was when I awakened, my higher self was very careful. Pretty much don't read books except the few we let you read. So it was trying to keep my channel very clean and not get overtaken again. So what's happening is, as we come out, we have our awakening, we come out of the simulation, we start this ascension process, and it's a step-by-step process of upliftment into the higher holographic realm of enlightenment. This is our goal. We want to move into the higher dimensional holograms of enlightenment. And all souls on the planet have this opportunity right now. Every single soul can choose to move into this process and work it consciously every day. It's open to every soul on this planet, because Gaia is also accelerating into 5D consciousness as well, 5D frequencies. And so I broke it down into 3 stages just to try to make it easy to understand, because this is, somewhat esoteric. So we want to, I'm going to go through each of the stages and what you encounter. So as I mentioned, first one, awakening, pulling out of the simulation, starting to get into observer. Second stage is transmutation. And so this is the deprogramming stage. And this entails especially the physical body, emotional body, and mental body. The mental and emotional body are in the astral plane. This is where we've gotten hijacked. This is where there's a lot of junk in there that we have to clear out. We also have, at least 6 generations or more of ancestral programming and patterning getting passed down to us from our family. We also have past lives where there's a lot of trauma and unresolved karma. So that transmutation stage could take you all your life. I'm still doing it. Been doing it for 25 years, 26 years, still doing it. What happens is, as you really jump in and do it, you are kind of like peeling the onion, right? You're getting all this layers off, layers off, layers off, so you can get down more into these core wounds, these core roots, and start pulling those out. And I found by clearing the major patterns and programs, then I would have less and less clearing. Like I have longer and longer periods of time. I could go maybe a month or a few months without having to deal with anything that needed my attention or clearing. So you do improve. I want to make sure you realize this. It's not an endless pit, okay? You're clearing, you're releasing. Every layer you peel off, you get up into a higher frequency, and you just continue to rise higher. You get lighter emotions, lighter thoughts. Your joy gets smoother because you don't have all this polarity running inside the field. Everything starts to improve. Our goal, of course, is we're cleaning this vessel, body, heart, mind, cleaning this vessel, purifying this vessel for the soul to descend in and really embody our divine soul presence. So it's about bringing the physical and spiritual together, right? The soul and the human selves together, and really uniting. So those are the 3 stages. Now, during the process, as I mentioned, you're starting to get into the transmutation stage. You're beginning to trigger all this internal clearing, and it's old trauma, old density. You're detoxing, and so I found originally in the earlier years it was more up into mental, emotional. Now 2020 has really gotten into the physical. We are literally recoding the DNA. It's coming really strongly into the physical. So you could have symptoms, you could feel it, seriously feel it, and that's telling you that we're in a way transforming this body of ours. We're transforming actually the whole field through this process. And it's the soul's liberation also from centuries of recycling through karmic reincarnation. What I began to notice when I would help people where we were working, let's say, on the other side, in the non-physical, that all the souls would pass, and they would transition, but then they would get trapped in the fourth dimension, the astral plane. We were literally prisoners of this earth plane. We weren't able to transition back to our soul family or to source. And many of us have been recycling for thousands of years, and it continues each time to devolve us. And so that's part of what this liberation ascension is to, and it's happening, it's opening up the magnetic field, right? The astral plane is unlocking, and we can then transition back to our soul original star system, back to our soul family, connecting back to source. So this is truly, I called it, in the early years, I would call it in my mind, I'm like, this is a rescue mission. I mean, we have to unlock all of this so humans can begin to reconnect to their divine soul presence and their origin and source. And so it really is a mystical moment what's happening right now, where souls can rapidly accelerate their awakening and evolution and liberation. Even though it may look like things are devolving out there, that's the simulation breaking down. That's the enslavement system breaking down. That's what we're observing and watching happening right now. This really is a liberation ascension. All right, so as we're ascending higher, so as you're clearing, right, you're deprogramming, you're removing trauma, you're clearing patterning, clearing up karma, your field gets lighter. Everything starts to get into higher octaves, higher frequencies. You're no longer in this really tight, dense time compression of 7-8 hertz. Everything starts to expand and get higher. The confusion, I think, for some, because they're still kind of seeing just through the left brain of the physical world, so they see everything as physical. So they're thinking we're leaving one planet and going to another. And that's not what's happening. We're not leaving the 3D, that's our physical. We're not leaving the 4D, that's space-time, that's the astral. But we're expanding into additional dimensions. So you're still gonna be human, you're still in your physicality, but now you're starting to open up to the higher dimensions, so you're becoming more of a divine human. You're starting to access higher dimensional consciousness. And so as we clear and release layers of density and trauma, the clutter in the mind dissolves bit by bit. This is where I was mentioning, you notice improvement. The mind is set free. We're able to perceive entirely new dimensional realities that I could not even have conceived. It's literally as my mind is going up into these higher octaves, it's like you're getting up and you can actually like now see what's going on in the world. You have a higher vantage point. It's like it opens your mind like the window to the universe. You began to have access to opportunities you could never have imagined before. So this is some of the benefits of going up higher and higher and getting into this 5D operating system. That 5D field, the fifth dimensional field, is a field of unity consciousness. So it doesn't have that polarity. It's a non-polarized field. It doesn't have that push-pull of opposition in the fifth dimensional field. It's a harmonious field. It's a resonant field, a coherent field. So that's another benefit for rising your frequency higher and higher, to be able to access and live in a fifth dimensional operating system. The higher our brain waves and our heart pulse, the more access we have to this abundant and free-flowing 5D holographic reality. So imagine like you're peeling these barriers, and all of a sudden you have access to these infinite holograms you couldn't see before. And if we can't see it and we can't imagine it, we can't create it. So it's, like I said, opening up your viewer so that you can now lock on to new holographic realities that you can never have done before. This is how our daily life begins to improve. And from this exalted fifth dimensional state of coherence, we're also now capable of living in our authentic expression of our soul truth and purpose, because we're leaving behind the false simulations. I felt it frustrated the hell out of me, because I'm thinking, people can't see me, they can't feel me, they're really not knowing me. So that means I'm still projecting some false holograms. And it was true. And so I just kept peeling away until people could actually, and I could see it in their eyes. It's like, oh, we got it. We connected. They can see me now. They can really, and I'm talking my soul, they can really feel and see and sense and connect to my inner soul. And that is amazing and fabulous. You're finally seen, right? You finally heard. It's very fulfilling. Okay, so that's our goal. That's what we're moving into. We're moving into that fifth dimensional field. So as I mentioned, dimensions, they're not places or locations. They're actually levels of consciousness that they vibrate at certain rates. So as you're getting into these higher octaves, vibrating up higher, you get into accessing higher consciousness. So this is the goal. And so I just made this chart just to kind of give you a good reference point of what we experience in each of these different dimensional planes or holograms or frequencies. I can go through them real quick. So in the 3D, this is our physical world, height, width, depth, physical world. We feel our density, we feel separation, right? Where this is the duality that we live in, separation. We operate in victim mentality. It's driven by the ego. We have this polarization, compressing us, locking us. It's very much, because it's only a physical world, it's driven by materialism, it's pleasure seeking, greed. We're watching this play out all over our world right now. Greed, consumerism. It's also very codependent and linear thinking through that left brain. Because it's greed driven, it's very competitive. We're driven and consumed by doubts and fears. Because we're in separation, we feel emptiness. And it's also parasitic, because nobody is connected to their soul power. So we're trying to find energy all around us, from each other, from everything. It's parasitic. Now we go into our awakening. I'm now becoming an observer. That right brain begins to start to open up. The right brain is our holographic brain, and it's our intuitive brain. It's what we use to visualize. It's our multidimensional brain. So that we begin to get some juice going in that right brain. As I mentioned earlier, we begin to get drawn into a spiritual practice. Yoga, live food, meditation, whatever feeds your spirit. You start to want this, you need this. You also begin to do your shadow work. And I'm going to get a little more in that in a couple slides here. But this is where we begin to work on all of the pain and the suffering and the greed and the rage and the hate. And it's all the shadow that's been building up inside from living in that 3D system. We want to heal and clear the shadow. This also happened to me when I had my awakening. As I mentioned, I began wanting to learn about vibrational healing. So we begin to understand that everything is energy. We're all energy. We're all frequencies, differing frequencies. We're all vibrating. You start to want to work with your own energy. Begin to open up more of your psychic intuition. You start healing those core wounds, but you also may be going out of your body, and that's part of the problem, because then you're going to encounter the astral entities. You can fall for the conspiracies. So this is where we also learn how to build boundaries, personal boundaries, healthy boundaries. We have to watch for that ego, because this catches way too many people. If they aren't doing their shadow work and they're not transmuting the ego, then their spiritual practice gets taken over by the ego. And we can see this in spiritual superiority. This is a problem. I see it all the time in the Lightworker community, where I'm awake and you aren't, so you're a sheeple and I'm better than you. Okay, you're still an ego. We can't have that. When we start to ascend, we're going more into compassion for our own pain and suffering and our process, and compassion for everybody else as well. So we're not quite ascending yet in fourth dimension in the astral plane, but we're getting started. And then when we begin to access more of the 5D harmonic field, As I mentioned, it's a field of unity consciousness. It's very grounded and present. We get in our bodies, and when we're and this, I really had to learn this one from my team. They kept giving me dreams. I would have house dreams, and the house represented me and my condition. And I kept having these house dreams where I would see, you know, my door is wide open and all these strangers are in my home and they're eating my food and watching my TV, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And my team would just say, well, that's what happens when you're not in your body. And I was like, oh my God, okay, I gotta stop doing that. And it scared me enough to say, I need to be in here, because if I'm not in here, other things can get in here. And so you start to take care, and I wasn't taking care of my health because I wasn't in my body. So you start to come in, you get grounded, you begin to do self-care. Every day I ground into my body. So it became a new part of my practice. And you build the boundary. You have a personal boundary. Now, because you're getting in your body, when we're not in our body, we also don't have any magnetism. I get this all the time from people. I can't seem to magnetize anything. Well, are you in your body? Because when you're not present, your magnetic fields wrap around your chakras. And if you're not in there, it's empty. And I can remember when I was in the early stage here, and I was struggling. I was so poor. I was having trouble buying food. I mean, it was like, oh my God, team, what is it I'm doing wrong? What do I need to fix? And they're like, you magnetize, your magnetic fields draw in what's there, and you're not in there. So it's emptiness, and you're magnetizing more emptiness. It's like, oh, damn. Okay, so this is how I've learned how to go through these steps, by trial and error, making my own mistakes. We have to get in our body. We want to have healthy boundaries. We want to have strong magnetism. And then once you're in that heart, oh, that heart starts to open, expands, grows with greater compassion and empathy. You start to shift from ego desires, right, service to the ego, to now service to the greater good. You're developing a practice to manage and hold 0-point balance within. This is a non-polarized state. We also begin to really become aware of our interconnectedness with the universe, with all that exists in this universe. We start creating mind-heart coherence, to create all the biosystems come into coherence. And that starts to open up your abundance flow. So in a way, you got to have to create a container for the abundance to come in. Same thing, you're creating a divine sacred container for your soul to come in. And so you are establishing a sovereign space. You're starting to experience soul embodiment. You become more, as that window opens to the universe, you start to become more multidimensional, and the synchronicities start to flow in, because your magnetism now is soul magnetism, right? Your soul is in your heart and solar plexus chakra, and so those magnetic fields wrapped around those chakras are pulling in what matches what's there, and it's your soul. So you're building soul magnetism. This is where I don't have to work so hard. The synchronicities just start flowing in now. So that's the real quick. I mean, there's way more, but those are kind of a good distinction of the different things we're going to experience as we go through the ascension phases, and what each plane is running for us. All right, so let's go to the first stage. I'm just going to do an overview of the 3 stages: awakening, transmutation, and embodiment. So the awakening stage, as it can happen over time, gradually, or for my case, it happened in a second. I would not recommend that way. It's too tough to go through, but it can happen. Your soul will determine, it's in your blueprint, how you will awaken and when you will awaken, and the veils just begin to thin, and the pineal starts to activate, and you begin to observe your reality. You also start to watch what's running in you. So this is where you begin to notice how the simulation has been running, and it's been running a false ego persona that's been controlling the life. And this ego persona is in victim mentality. So it's obsessed with the blame game. Everything is everybody else's fault. I'm perfect. Okay, all that has to get clear. You start taking the steps to raise your energy vibration in every thought, action, and deed. Like, it becomes your lifestyle. This is not something you just sample and dabble in and you're done. No, this is your new lifestyle. You create a spiritual practice, whatever. I don't tell people how to do it, whatever you're drawn to. And it's really more of self-care and self-love. And these are just some things that I've done that really helped. Grounding and meditation, yoga. I had to completely change what I had to learn about nutrition, change how I ate. Just really being in a sacred space. Just take time out every day and just stop what you're doing. Stop the hamster wheel, right? Just make moments where you breathe deeply. You say your prayers, you set your intentions. You can do toning, because the toning is so great because you're helping increase your energy frequency. And I have to go as often daily if I can into nature, because nature is a 0-point field. Nature is, we've been in a simulation that's disconnecting us from everything. And so I would have to go into nature and reconnect to the nature kingdom, reconnect to the elementals, reconnect to this nature spirits. So, because we can't do alchemy without nature. Nothing can really materialize here without nature. And then start talking to your spirit team. Each of us has our own spirit team, and beginning to ask. They're waiting for you to ask. Ask for help. Ask for wisdom. Ask for guidance. Ask for their love and support. In meditation, you begin to connect to your higher self. And I'm going to walk us through a step to do that in the activation. So really, you're starting to embrace your life as your own personal mystery school. As I said, this is where you are learning and you are evolving very quickly. It's a very accelerated process to becoming an enlightened divine human. So that's the awakening stage. Now we're going to go through quickly here the transmutation stage. And this is probably for life, as I mentioned. And so you're breaking free from the simulation, you're clearing the false self, right? Getting these ego habits out, clearing the victim programming. We get in and we start clearing any debilitating ancestral lineage, and this can come in lots of ways. Could be like poverty consciousness. It could be creating lots of insecurities. These are all passed down through the generations, our ancestors to us. Could be disease code. There's all kinds of stuff coming in from the ancestors that we have to break free from. We're also clearing the unconscious mind programming. And removing trauma. We're loaded with trauma from our childhood and past lives, and so clearing that as well. We're working on neutralizing the extreme polarities, so I mentioned that. Creating a 0-point balance, especially in the heart and the mind, because the mental body and the emotional body are in the astral plane. So we're getting in and we're making sure they are balanced, they are coherent, there is no polarity there. We do our shadow work. This, of course, is where you're starting to shift. I give an analogy of like we're passing the baton of power from our ego to our soul, right? So you're starting to shift who's running the show here, right? You're the master of your energy field. You're the master of your holographic mind. You're the master of your life. We don't want our ego running that. They mess everything up. So it was a very interesting process to go through this, because the more that I could say, all right, in this situation, I'm going to trust what my soul is saying. I'm going to trust my gut. I'm going to trust what I feel that's coherent in my heart, and give it a shot. And I would always have great results. So finally, over time, the ego began to realize, hey, maybe that soul knows what she's doing. And it didn't fight me as much. It was starting to kind of come for the ride. It was, and that's what we want. We want to be able to free will choose to follow the divine wisdom of the soul. Also clearing out all this false stuff that has gotten in. False light, false angels, false ascension timelines. I mean, all of this stuff is the virtual reality simulations that are running in the astral plane. So if any of that got into us, or it was passed down from the ancestors, or however, we want to clear this stuff out. could be even in past lives. And then again, as I mentioned, this is the stage that we tend to be attracted to the conspiracy theories. And so we're learning how to discern and read energy, where we go behind the facade, right? We go beneath the surface and start to learn what is truth or non-truth. And so I, of course, worked with it as frequency. I did a lot of practice with myself to learn what's the frequency of a no and what's the frequency of a yes. And this, of course, is in relation to what's resonant to my truth, and be able to feel that and hear that. This took probably some years of training, but it really works now, because that was then, and I constantly check myself. So we can't get lazy on this. I have to constantly go, is this really authentic? So always checking, double checking, triple checking, making sure that you aren't getting plugged into anything, because not everything is how it seems in an illusionary holographic world of virtual reality. So we have to be on our game, constantly paying attention and checking. And it's not from a paranoia, it's more about self-care and caution and protection, keeping ourselves safe. Okay, transmutation stage. Now, because of this crazy astral plane that we've been living in the world, we may have encountered, or our family encountered, or we encountered it in past lives, junk in the field. And so this is, I call it energetic hygiene, right? We get in and we start cleaning up the energy field. So as we start creating healthy boundaries around our aura, this way then we're first just trying to stop this parasitic feeding on each other. We're no longer trying to plug into others. We're not letting others plug into us. We begin to really establish that this is my territory and I need to stay inside here, and I'm not popping out and taking from others, and I'm not letting others take from us. So you start kind of getting a sense of where your field is and where it ends and where others begin. All of this is kind of the sensitivity that you begin to develop. As you clear the junk out, your sensitivity will get stronger and stronger. Your empathing will get stronger. This is a gift. We want to be able to sense and empath. We don't want to shut that down. When you have a auric boundary, then you can empath without feeling like you're pulling all that stuff into your field. And so we start clearing out. We clear out astral entities if they're there. We remove cords a lot of times because it's been parasitic. The family or our spouses or children or whoever may have been corded in. We start disconnecting the energy cords, astral cords. We start clearing the what's ever held in the chakras. So there's a lot of density and trauma that's gotten stuck in the chakras. We start opening the chakras up. We also begin to work with this energy, the shadow work, where we're clearing the victim mentality, clearing the paranoia, clearing the distortions from the ego. We work on, and the ego's afraid it's going to lose power. So as you clear, you're bringing in more of your soul presence. So you're not going to be without power. You're going to be bringing in your soul power. And our soul power is our light. It's our presence. It's our essence. So as you help clear the ego distortions that think it has to have all this for power, you're replacing it with actually authentic power, your soul power, your light. We're also working on resolving any karmic debt with other souls and clearing soul contracts that need to be done, need to be finished. We're also getting in and we're looking for core wounds. There may have been, abuse as a child or neglect, or just whatever it is, it needs to be healed. That inner child needs to be healed, because the inner child is an aspect of ourselves that is our joy and our creativity. It's what we feel spontaneous laughter and fun. we need that part of us to integrate back in. It's been traumatized, it's been hurt, and we need to heal it. So we're getting in, and we're also clearing ancestral genetic coding that's limiting us. This is the entire detoxification that we go through when we're in the transmutation stage. And you can do it on yourself, and I teach people how to use a technique in my modality. It's called Quantum Access, to help you do this processing, this clearing. And you can work with energy healers, you can get body work. There's just lots of ways to support you through this space. I did, over 10 years of acupuncture. I love acupuncture and herbs, Chinese herbs. So there's lots of ways to support yourself as you're going through the transmutation stage. You don't have to do this alone. But you clear all that out, and you're going to have a really pretty clean, powerful vessel. And that's when we begin building up our embodiment. We're really starting to bring in soul presence, because you no longer have all that density. You don't have all that polarity pushing the soul out. I mean, when we're so dense, think about it. It's like you're trying to bring your spirit into a rock. So the more that you release the density and raise your frequency higher and higher, you're able to hold the soul presence inside. So we're learning also, as we start to break free of the astral plane simulation of time, we begin to live more in the now. That means our mind isn't taking us to the future or going to the past. We're just in this space, in our bodies, in the moment, in the now, feeling the bliss and the connection and the 0 point balance that exists in the now. So that was a huge shift for me as well, because I was just obsessed. My mind was driving me insane on either the past or the future. We don't want to be ruminating on either. We want to be present in the now. And as the heart heals and expands, we start to integrate more and more soul presence in the energy body. And I actively do this. I actively bring in more and more of my soul light, my soul consciousness. And we're going to go through that in the activation, show you how to do it. Also, part of this polarity that's been kind of push-pulling inside us is also our feminine, masculine energies. The left-right brain, feminine, masculine brains. They're running down feminine on the left side of the body, masculine on the right side. And it's just, again, another polarity that needs to be neutralized so we can really start to integrate and unify our feminine and masculine energy as one. That's a big piece of this as well. As the heart heals, core wounds heal, the heart's opening, this heart it goes beyond the body eventually. It just starts to expand, just like a big sun, and it's running your soul light in it, and it's pure love. And you just begin to feel moments of joy for no reason. And that's when I get this, that's my soul. I just felt pure love. And so that increases. And as the heart begins to regularly pulse and vibrate at the love frequency, this is opening the doorway to the higher dimensions. So it's our heart that actually opens us to the fifth dimensional field and higher. Imagine, in a way, your heart acts like a portal to those higher dimensions. And that's why we have to do that heart healing. We have to clear the mind control and do the heart healing. And then that allows you access to these higher dimensions. As you begin to live in the fifth dimensional field, more of your dormant code and dormant light body begin to activate as well. So we were born with the intention to ascend this life. So we came in with the soul blueprint. Everything's in there, just waiting to be activated for your ascension. Okay, so this isn't something that you have to go get from me or anybody else. It's all in there. It's all waiting. And the scientists, they called it junk DNA. They didn't know what it was. But it's your soul multidimensional DNA waiting for your activation. It's all in here. And so when I read energy fields, I can see the soul blueprint. It literally is code and instruction. It's fascinating, and symbols, and it's all in you. It's your light body, waiting to be activated. So as you keep bringing in your soul light, keep bringing it in every day, just keep bringing in your soul light, your light body runs on your soul light. Think of it like an engine. Your light body is your engine, and it runs on your soul light. Your light's the fuel to your engine. And so the more that you keep bringing in your soul light, your soul presence, you are activating more and more of your light body, okay? And as the left and right brain sync up, because they've also been disconnected, but as everything starts to come back together as one holistic, harmonious biosystem running together, the left and right brain begins to work together simultaneously, and you start to use both brains at the same time throughout your daily life, which is a trip, because I could be talking to someone using left brain, physical brain, seeing the physical world, talking to someone, but at the same time, I'm getting all this information coming in through the right brain from my higher self. Happens all the time. How many times have you woken up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh my God, what is going on here? Your right brain's active, your soul's working, and you're sleeping at the same time. It's incredible. So this is what we're working so hard towards to achieve, because as we come in, we clear out the false simulations, we clear out the programming, we clear all the history out, all the trauma out, our soul merges in, we truly begin to live according to the law of sovereignty. We are a free and independent sovereign being, and we see everybody else as free and independent sovereign beings. And that is a game changer. That's when what we're projecting from our holographic mind is a completely different world than what we've been seeing or living in previously. And that's where you begin to know, okay, I think I'm actually in 5D, because you're starting to see a beautiful world. You're starting, like the colors, they shimmer, they look crystalline, nature is vibrant. I mean, it's like everyone is smiling and kind, and that's when you know you have elevated into a loving world, a fifth dimensional and higher world. And that's the reward for all the hard work. That's what we're heading towards. So this embodiment change stage, this is where we're developing our own inner discernment, because when you're not in your body, you don't even know what is your discernment. How do you know what matches you? You're not in. So the more that you are bringing your soul light in, your soul presence in, then you can go, all right, does this feel like a match? Does this resonate with my own soul vibration, my own soul frequency? You start to develop independent thinking because you've cleared so much of that unconscious programming out of the brainstem. You have your higher self channel 24/7. You can get guidance anytime. You begin to understand they're very different operating systems, the 3D polarized enslavement, mind-controlled operating system, and then this magnificent 5D operating system in unity consciousness. Completely different, completely different. You're no longer living in separation consciousness. You feel in empath, the unified field. I'm able to read energies all the time, feel into the field. Your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, they affect and inform the collective. So this is where we don't have to just passively allow what's spewing into our global field of violence and hate and all of abuse. We start flooding the field with love. We start flooding the field with compassion. So we begin to get more active in not only our own holographic reality, but then the kind of the macro planetary holographic reality as well. As you bring your soul into your light body, it starts to turn on. And this is then where you have the Merkaba geometry, which is the double star tetrahedron, the upward tetrahedron, lower tetrahedron. That's the geometry of your torus. And your torus is your magnetic field rotation. And so you begin to feel the momentum of your own continuum. It's pretty profound. It's constantly feeding you life force. And it's rotating around you and opening you to more and more higher dimensional experiences. As I mentioned, as you get more soul in your heart, your soul magnetism increases. And this is where you start literally drawing in, magnetizing in your soul destiny. And then your soul mission, because we're all here with a purpose. And people ask me, I don't know what my soul purpose is. And I'm like, well, until you get your soul inside you, it's pretty difficult to really know and follow your soul purpose. So that would be why I continue to encourage everyone, keep pulling your soul presence in, your soul light in, because your own soul presence inside will pull you to your soul purpose. Your soul wants to create here. And so over time, you might feel drawn to, all of a sudden, like I was telling you in the early years, all of a sudden I'm like, I got to do energy work. I don't even know what it is. But boy, my soul wants to do energy work. All right, I better go figure what that is. You might feel drawn to do grid work or travel to sacred sites around the world. You might feel drawn to join meditation groups. You might feel drawn to become an activist for human rights, animal rights, the environment. I mean, there's so many ways to get involved. So this spiritual process isn't passive, and it's not to isolate you. It's more that we pull back a bit to do the clearing and observe and start embodying the soul, and then we go back into becoming involved in the world. So I pulled quite a bit back and worked on myself, worked with clients, and then I'm finding more and more my soul wants to go out and be very present and involved with creating this new beautiful earth, this 5D and higher earth. And so follow your impulse, follow what you're motivated, you're passionate about. That's your soul is communicating through you, guiding you. That's your soul mission, your soul purpose. And then finally, we just a kind of a summary of what we've been talking about. So every morning, this is kind of some of the practical steps to take. Every morning you get out of bed and you ground your feet onto your ascension timeline. So you're going to get yourself in your body grounded and also onto the 5D crystalline ley line grid work. We're no longer grounding to the lower 3D grids. You're leaving that operating system. It's a very destructive operating system. You're evolving out of it, and you're choosing to ground your field every day onto the 5D earth plane. As I mentioned, fifth dimension is a feeling field. So keep working with your heart, healing the heart, filling the heart with light, filling the heart with love as much as you can. And it just becomes this pulsing force field of love around you, inside you and around you. We use the infinity loop to create 0-point balance, and I'll show you how to do that. I focus really on that heart and mind, right? Mental body and emotional body, because they're affected mostly by that astral plane. And heart coherence, when we can get into heart coherence, then this collapses the old non-resonant timelines from the field. So working with the heart is so important because it helps speed this process up for you. You can really let go of the past to the point where you're clearing timelines out of your field. You're literally getting free of time of the past. We're harmonizing the left-right brain synergy. We're creating, you can do an infinity from the heart up to the third eye and back, mind, heart, running infinity vertically, creating the coherence, because we want all the biosystems in coherence in your own physical body, but also in the chakra column, because that's where your soul descends down and in, is in the chakra column. And that's the goal. It's to create this beautiful environment that the soul can merge with us. That's our goal. We're unifying with our divine presence. And these few steps, increasing our energy frequency, filling our heart with soul love, enhance our daily living, build soul communication, amplify heart magnetism. You begin to create synchronicities because your own field is communicating with the external field and pulling in the synchronicities and starting to have instant manifestation because we're out of time. We don't need the time lag anymore. And this is how we enhance our life. And it just continues to improve every year. I learn more every year, I improve every year, and I understand more every year. It's like the brain centers continue to open and open and open to higher consciousness. This is the process we're in, and it's quite profound. It can be challenging, but it's worth it. And I am just thrilled to share this with you. So that's our presentation. And we can go to Neil and answer any questions you have. And then we're going to spend about 20 minutes to do the live activations. So questions first. I wonder if I lost Neil. Neil? All right, I'm going to pull him up because I think we've lost Neil. Okay, question from Leslie. Can you explain the dual spin, clockwise, counterclockwise, a little more? Okay, so everything in our reality is spinning energy. Linear is actually an illusion. So everything is this entire spiraling galaxy. Everything is spiraling, everything's spinning. And we're in a polarized planetary field, electromagnetic field of dual spin. So we actually have clockwise spin and counterclockwise spin. Both are happening. Clockwise spin squeezes energy together, creates density, creates atoms, creates particles, right? Squeezing energy to actually forms a dense particle. When we reverse spin, counterclockwise, it actually unlocks density and opens the energy up and expands. It's called radiation. We radiate outwards. So clockwise, we compress in. Counterclockwise, we radiate out. With that in mind, that's why when I open up and activate the vortex around the field, it's counterclockwise because it's unlocking density so we can actually access the quantum field. We actually can access the non-physical. We unlock density, then we can start pulling code out, trauma out, patterns out, programming out. So also, how do I know I'm spinning right or left? How do I know I'm spinning counterclockwise or clockwise? I see everything top down, so I see everything from my higher self down. And so when I look down to my body, the vortex is spinning right to left around the body. So I'm looking down and it's spinning counterclockwise around my body. And when you do that regularly, you will start to feel your energy open out. Whew, the whole field starts opening out. The whole field radiates out. Everything starts to unlock and open up. And in a way, it lets us inside to even pull genetic code. We can pull anything as we unlock compression, time compression. So because we're in a physical world right now, and we're in a physical body, the clockwise time compression keeps us in some vessel of physicality, right? It keeps us in some density. Eventually, we may not be in a dense body. Eventually, if we continue to do this process and we're clearing all the density out, I literally feel like I'm levitating at times. I don't even feel my body. I can't even feel, even though I know I'm in, but has dispersed and opened up so much that I actually feel my energy as fluctuating, vibrating waves of energy instead of compressed particles. And so the more that we do that, and the more that we live on light, the more we bring in, breathe in, stream in, spiral in light, we're starting to transform ourselves from needing to live on dense emotion and food and being able to live on light consciousness, light frequency. So this is, again, a pretty radical transformation that's happening within us now. Has this ever been done before? I don't know, but I'm really curious to see what this will look like. So let me know if that helps, Leslie. Martine, what is inserted ego will? I personally believe the ego is a construct of the simulation. So in a way, anything that exists within us by the simulation has been inserted. It's a shadow persona, and its seems like its whole drive is to consume and compete and to control and dominate. It's very aggressive and insecure and grandiose. So it's, and this is just how I see it reading the simulation. I know there's lots of studies, psychological studies, spiritual studies, talking about the ego and the id and all that stuff. I personally wanted all shadow cleared, so I approached the ego as a shadow persona that needed to be brought into the light to be transmuted. So during the transmutation stages, I'm bringing the shadow. Whenever I encountered it within me, I just kind of lock my focus on it and I bring it into the soul light, and it starts to change. It starts to convert to light. It gets lighter and lighter. And this way then, I'm not trying to destroy it. I'm not trying to kill it. I'm not trying to get rid of it. I've had conversations with this persona and said, I'm going to take you with me. We're going to ascend with me. And it stopped fighting me. It actually said, all right, let's do it. And it's not trying to control me or the life like it used to. And so every once in a while I'll pick it up a bit, but it's very, very rare now. But I had like a mission to transform that ego persona, that shadow ego. And so to me, that's how I experience it. It's a very unevolved, kind of immature, like a child forcing its will on everything. And I had to help it grow, mature and grow and understand we're now following the soul will, the wisdom of the soul will. We're not following your immature, throwing tantrum will. And so that's how I've been approaching it. Okay, Sherry asks, how do we know if we get or have gotten sucked into conspiracy on the astral plane? Well, most of them are in the 4D field of polarity. So watch for the languaging. Most of the time it will be us versus them, white hats versus black hats, light versus evil, angels versus Satan. These are all trigger words to suck you in. They typically pull us in through trauma bonding. So if you react, so it would be that ego victim mentality. Oh, someone, there's a deep state. Oh, they're all trying to kill us. Oh, they're all trying to wipe us out. Oh, they're trying to put chips in us. Oh, you have to watch for that stuff, because that's now putting you in a state of fear, and it's disempowering you, and you're in victim mentality at that point. That is a big red alert, a warning. If you're falling for that kind of languaging, or you're getting pulled into this, oh, it's all secret, and any secrets, big warning, red flag, secrets. Most of it's bullshit, most of it's illusion. It's just trauma bonding, trying to pull you in. We're seeing a lot of it right now around pedophilia and they're actually roping people in if they've had any kind of childhood abuse, sexual abuse in this life or past life. It is trauma bonding, and it's pulling them in. None of these conspiracies are actually fixing anything or saving anyone or helping anybody. It's a hologram trapping the mind and the emotional body. It's a hologram in the astral plane pulling in you through your mental body and your emotional body. So I only engage with what's uplifting, made of love, not trying to save anyone or fix anyone. It's full of compassion and empathy, and it's no battle, no secrets, no battle. Everything needs to just be out in the open, and it's what you see is what you get, and it's very out in the open, very evident. It's clear, and it's real. It's real. Hope that helps, Sherry. Anonymous, do you believe in a future solar flare? Sounds like you're talking about the event. In my opinion, the event is just where the New Age kind of hijacked the end times of the Christian evangelicals. They slapped a new name on it and they called it the event. We're getting solar flares all the time. All the time. Just check spaceweather.com. I'd say we just had one a couple days ago. All the time. All this photon light, gamma light, this is coming in regularly. So is it building up to one big one? Possibly, but I think you won't notice it any different than the ones we're coming in now, because every time one comes in, if you're working with the energies, you continue to ascend. And so if they just build in momentum and strength, you're riding that wave. In my opinion, if one big whammy came in, we'd all be wiped out. Are you aware of how these are feeling now? They are extremely strong. If you are opening up your field and you're clearing all that junk and you're able to really empath and have a high sensitivity, these solar flares, solar waves that are coming in now, we have plasma waves coming in and solar flares coming in, and they are strong now, and they can put me down for a couple of days. They are strong, and this is not even at a level of what you're referring to as one big whammy event. So I think the universe is gradually moving us into it more and more and more. And will we reach a tipping point? I think that tipping point isn't one big whammy wave. I think the tipping point is all of us doing our work, and collectively we reach a harmonic frequency of ascension and love, and we are all in bliss. We are living in light. We're all in bliss. So that's how it has been shown to me. I welcome a big whammy if it's meant to be. I'm not God, so I don't know what they're planning. But because we're in a holographic universe, everything is shifting. Timelines are constantly shifting. It's very hard to predict anything now because the universal field is responding to our consciousness, and so timelines keep shifting. So maybe they had a big whammy planned and we shifted it as well. So again, if you come from the mindset that you're separate from the universe and you're a victim of a big whammy event, then you're still in 4D. So keep elevating up where you understand that we are in constant communication with our universe. We are in constant, our consciousness is affecting the field, and the field is affecting us, and we're in this back and forth harmonic flow, quantum flow of consciousness. And so even if an event was planned, we could also change that as well. Hope that helps. Let's see here. Merci. What are you referring to as conspiracies? So these are, I don't want to spend too much time on that because that's not the focus of this class, but conspiracies are false narratives that start with, you know, on the internet, and they spread. And they can be hitting into some kind of a fear within, or an emotional trauma within, and they rope you in. And so, as I mentioned, I've been watching this show on Scientology this week, and so they use their own made conspiracies to rope in people into their cult. So we have to just watch for them. I mean, there's lots of them. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time dropping into all of this, because one, they're low vibration, and I don't want anyone getting trapped in them anyways. But you can, I mean, you can Google conspiracies, and you can start finding a lot of the current ones that are getting spread all over the internet right now. And there's spiritual teachers pushing them. This is why we have to be careful. Okay. Anonymous, thank you, Meg. Really wonderful talk, succinct and so clear, and in a better understanding overall. I'm happy to witness and absorb more every time I hear this. Thank you, thank you. Susie, as an empath, I'd like to set an auric boundary to protect myself from energy vampires. So this is part of the first steps we take. Once we awaken and we start observing our field, we start getting a sense of our field and everybody else's field, and one of the first things that alarm you is I realized, oh my God, our fields are all like merging, and they're meshing with each other, and they're overlapping, and this, I don't think this is a good thing. And so I was asking my higher self, asking my angels what's needed, and they're saying you need to start pulling your field away from all that enmeshment, right? You start, think about it as an orb around your aura, and it's made of light, and it's containing your space, and it can expand way out, and it can come close around you, whatever you need. But we don't want our aura wide open to the astral plane. We need to be able to feel our own personal boundary. And there's reasons for this as well, because when we're wide open with a boundary, our life force drains out, right? When we have a boundary, then we're able to intuit and sense and feel if someone actually is trying to get inside and merge in or plug in, because it feels very uncomfortable. It feels very irritating, actually. That's kind of my sign. If I start feeling kind of getting grumpy and irritable and pissy, I was like, oh, I better check my boundary. And there it is. There's someone trying to poke in, someone trying to get in. And so follow what you feel. Your own body will tell you, your own senses will tell you. But I get up every morning, I ground, and I envision that orb around my aura, and I envision it before I go to bed. So I hold my boundary in place with this holographic mind. Looks like a orb of light, like a ball of light. And by doing that regularly, you are literally establishing the energetic auric shield in place. Leslie, can you explain the process of using the infinity loop? I did have Neil send you a link to a short video that does show you how the infinity loop is used. We're going to use it today. I hope you had listened to that video, so I don't have to spend too much time explaining it. But it is, what the infinity does is it runs around polarized energy. So think of it as you have positive and negative, and you're running the infinity around the two, or masculine, feminine, or inferior and superior, whatever is this kind of extreme polarized energy. You run the infinity around the two opposing forces, and what happens is the infinity begins to bring those two opposing forces to the center point, and they begin to merge, and they start balancing each other, and it pops the charge, it pops the polarized charge, it pops the opposition, because they are two extremes of the same energy. So masculine, feminine, let's say that you start bringing the two, or positive, negative, bring the two, the infinity's doing the work I do this all the time in healing sessions, helping people remove polarity out of their field, wherever it's showing up in their lives. It's very effective and it's quick, actually. So using the infinity anywhere you want, one of two ways, Leslie. You're neutralizing polarity or you're unifying opposing forces. Okay? You can run them in your chakras. You can run them right in the chakras. I do all the time. You can run them at your feet if you feel like you're not able to ground both feet equally. You can use it anywhere. I run an infinity if I'm going to collaborate with somebody. I run it between our orbs so that I start bringing us into harmonic balance when we're working together. It's very effective. It's a quick, easy trick. It's an alchemical trick. Elaine, how do we know which angels are false? Well, that's just it. You have to use your empathing. You have to feel their energy, because we have original Archangel Metatron or Archangel Michael, and then you've got the false ones. Because everything is polarity, right? We're in a dual system here. So we have the true Archangel Metatron, Michael, and we have the false ones, because that's how a world of duality operates. So you feel their energy. Now, I work very closely with both, and I do not even communicate to them directly. I only work in my channel up to my higher self, and I have my higher self talk to Metatron or Michael or whoever, or my clients. I use my higher self as my gatekeeper, and I filter everything through my higher self so that I do not open my field or my antennas to the false ones. The false ones are empty. They have no chi. They usually are an energy drain. They're tricky. They're not compassionate. You just have to tune in and feel. And the more that you open up your third eye, right brain, pineal, you start opening up more and more of your psychic ability, you go behind their facade. So let's say it's a false Michael that's projecting, Archangel Michael. You start to look around, underneath, behind, and it's empty. Also, they watch what they're telling you. Watch what they're telling you. That will give you clues, because these beautiful beloved angels will never talk to you in a degrading way. They'll never talk down to you. They'll never put you in danger. It's so pay attention to how the languaging they use, the energy they use. They're trying to hook into the ego and control you and manipulate you. So maybe they're praising your ego. Oh, you're this master. You got to watch for that shit too. You got to watch for where they're putting you up on a pedestal, because they're really just setting you up to manipulate you. So I watch for both the degrading and putting you on a pedestal, because that's going to hit both your ego. That will go right in. You'll get sucked right in. Okay. Good questions, you guys. Okay, good. Quantum Miracles says that explanation of the counterclockwise from above really helped. Because if you think about it, if you get on the ground and look up, time compression will look different. So again, it's all perspective. So we're looking, I just see everything from my higher self, top down, and clockwise and counterclockwise. Also, you ask it, can you let us know if you schedule individual energy work? Yes, I still do sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays every week. I'm typically booked out 3 months or so. People are booking November, December right now. Might have a few left in October. You go to my website. My website is newearthcentral.com. And you can get go to the store for distance healing, and you can get onto my online calendar and see what's available. So yes, I do some private one-on-one healing sessions on the phone. Still been doing that for 22 years. I'm wondering how long I'm going to keep doing it, but still doing it. My higher self's like, you're not done. Another question, how do you know you are in contact with your spirit team? Well, I see them. I see them with my third eye, but if you aren't able to see them, you can ask them to send their love to you so you can start to feel their energy, feel their love, feel what is their vibrations, beginning to get a sense of them. They're always here with us. It's just the time barriers has been preventing us from feeling or seeing them or sensing them. So as we keep spinning counterclockwise, we're just dissolving the time barriers so that opens up more of your communication network with your team. Now, also, as I mentioned, I only talk to my team through my higher self, so they have to talk to me through my soul frequency. So think of it like your chakra column is a radar tower, right? All those chakras are like antenna dishes, and you only want to be dialed on your own soul frequency. So that's in a way your own radio station. So you want all your antennas pointing inside to your own soul stream, to your own radio station. So if anyone wants to talk to me, so if my team wants to talk to me, they have to talk to me through my soul frequency. So I pick it up because that's the only thing I'm dialed to. That also keeps out all the riffraff in the astral plane. Okay, I'm seeing the time, and I still want to be able to do our activations. Let's see here. Yes, okay, from DM. Even though I work on my sovereignty and boundaries, sometimes when I'm in a dense area or with a person with unhealed trauma, I can feel drained. So that's where your antennas, your empath antennas, your chakra antennas could be pointed out to them. Then you are empathing their energy. And also, they could be plugging into you and draining your energy while you're communicating with them or around them, next to them. So when you are in a situation where it's either, you know, it's a event, or you're with someone that is running at a lower vibration, it doesn't, you know, you're not feeling that resonant with it. I command shields of light. Just hold steady, and I do not point my antennas to them. So I can look at them with my eyes, using that left brain. I'm talking to them. Yeah, great. But I am not dialed onto their field, because then you start ingesting their energy, and you're open. When you're dialed out to them, you're open your field to them. So then they can hook right in and pull your life force, and you get drained. So this is all the stuff we're learning to master. None of us have been taught this. We're all learning how to do this. We're all learning how to master this. Okay, yes. Do you have instructions on how to do this clearing? We're going to do this next. Can you talk a bit more about using the crystalline ley lines for grounding? So we have, you know, our beloved Gaia has her own light body as well. And so her energy, she has energy meridians, ley lines, just like we do. You know, if you go to an acupuncturist, they're putting needles all through the meridians right into your own ley lines. And so Gaia has her own ley lines and her sacred sites, her own chakras. She has an energy body just like we do. So when we ground, the old way was you would send a grounding root into the earth, or you would connect to the physical core center of the earth. But that's the lower 3D hologram, right? That's the lower 3D plane that's polarized, and it's a full battle going on in the astral plane there. So it was probably around, I was thinking around 2000, about 20 years ago, I started hearing from my higher self, you can't ground to the earth grids anymore. It's affecting you. It's making you ill. You need to now ground to Gaia's, because Gaia is ascending as well. So as Gaia's light body keeps activating, I can actually see the ley lines all around, right under the surface of the earth. Just like we have our own meridians, she has her own meridians. And so wherever you are either located or you want to connect to a certain chakra, let's say I live next to Mount Shasta, so I always ground to the ley lines at Mount Shasta, and that's the root chakra. So that way then the light that's coming, you have roots of light coming out of the bottom of your feet chakras. You get those roots of light, just like a tree roots, you get those roots of light to connect with the ley line of light on the surface, right under the surface. And it actually, I can feel it like a suction. It really does pull, lock, and connect. And when I go into the wooded park here and go into nature, I've got this massive tree, and I connect to the tree, and it's an old Qigong practice where I can feel we're learning how to run our energy vertically up and down our meridians, ley lines, our chakra column, and I can feel my energy go zoop right down the body, out the feet, just like the tree roots, into the grid, flip, come back up, all the way up to the higher self. And that's, whoo, man, it's fantastic. I do it regularly. So that way then you're always grounding, because also when we're getting all these solar flares and plasma waves and all this photon light coming in, if you're not grounding it, it will blow your circuits. It's too much. So grounding regularly onto the ley lines, onto Earth's grid of light. Okay, you guys, I think I'm sorry, we're gonna have to, you have great questions, thank you. We're gonna have to start, we're running out of time here, so we're gonna have to start the activation. So, okay, I'm gonna close this for a minute. Yes, Steph, in your Quantum Access course, do we learn how to do everything you're talking about in this webinar? I'm in the process of building a new academy. I just spent 9 months teaching a first pilot course on certifying practitioners in this, and now I'm going back and working on building an academy for public use, and there's courses in that academy for my modality, for my technique. I'm hoping to have that up and running before the end of the year. So that's in the works right now. There are plenty of practice videos at my YouTube channel if you want to try. And there's also download meditations you can get at my website so that you can get started with this technique, because this is an Ascension tool, and this is going to really speed things up for you. It's completely changed my life. It's quite astonishing. Okay, you guys, thank you for all your questions. I probably should have sectioned off a whole hour for questions. Let's go ahead, and we're gonna now do the activations. Okay, and you can work with these activations as well when you get the replay. So this, one of the
Meg, really quick, I don't know if you saw the last question, but someone said she couldn't ask in the Q&A, so she wants to know about the crystalline grid ley lines. I was away, so I'm not sure if you answered that.
Yes, we got into the crystalline grid ley lines.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so Neil, we're going to go ahead and switch over to the activation, okay? All right. So we've been, talking and thinking. So let's just take a couple deep breaths, and we're going to come into our bodies. So you can put your hand on your heart and your belly, heart and solar plexus, and start to focus. We're coming down from the mind and getting into our bodies, into the lungs, the breath. I'm going to use the breath quite a bit in the activation. So just opening the chest, opening the heart, opening the breath, And coming into your core center. And then again, we're using the right brain now. So the right brain is what we visualize. It's our holographic brain. If you find you kind of float back over to that thinking mind in the left brain, just stop, come back to center, and open back up into the right brain, okay? So this is not something that we're going to be able to create with our thinking mind. This is more of our intuition, our right brain. We visualize and we set commands, okay? And I'm going to walk you through each step. I'm also going to connect with you remotely, so I'll help you as well. So let's first imagine, we were just talking about it, our feet, okay? Feet chakras. We're going to now lock our feet chakras right onto where you are sitting. So you're first just getting your feet onto the earth, wherever you're sitting or standing. We're using the whole body, so using the feet. Okay, there we go. And imagine your feet are like magnets. They're starting to lock onto your grounding base, your path of light. This is in your aura, your path of light. This is your grounding base, okay? And then we'll drop just a little bit into the surface of the earth to the crystalline grid of our 5D earth. So this is the crystalline grid ley lines. Woo, and you can really feel them start to connect. You might even feel a tingle or a suction. And every morning I get up and I set my command as I'm grounding. I now ground onto my soul's ascension timeline. And this is where you begin to let go of the old timelines. You're letting go of the lower 3D earth grids. You might even feel you're starting to kind of shift over onto it. But we now are commanding that we are grounding into the body, onto the crystalline grid, and then right onto each and every one of our own 5D ascension timeline. And this is where we're now working with the holographic field. We're selecting that as our grounding base. Okay, whew, I can feel that just took hold. You guys are doing great. And as we start to open up this sacred space to work in, let's connect to our spirit team. So from the heart, we connect to Mother, Father, Source, Creator. From the heart, we connect to our own God self, our I am presence, our soul presence and soul family, soul group. From the heart, we connect to our spirit team of angels and archangels and spirit guides, ascended masters and teachers, the elders, the shamans, our protectors. We call them in. We're also, as we're grounding onto the crystalline grid of Gaia, we're connecting to Mother Nature, the nature spirits, the devas. We're calling in the elementals of air, fire, water, earth, and ether to do the alchemy. And Archangel Metatron just stepped in. He's placing Metatron's cube under your feet and your grounding. It's made of outer 6 circles, inner 6 circles, and a central 13th circle. So you're stepping into the center circle and grounding, locking in. And when we connect to Metatron's cube under our feet, those 12 circles start to rise up as pillars of light up and around the body and aura. Again, we're looking from top down, from the higher self down, seeing the pillars of light rise up. And they're humming and toning and vibrating with the sound of Om, the sacred sound of Om, the Phi harmonics, Om. So as they're vibrating, now they're beginning to rotate. And this is where they start to go right to left around your body and aura. Anti-clockwise spin, spinning faster, whereas they go faster, they're blending now and becoming a vortex of diamond white light spinning up and around the body aura. Ooh, here we go, spinning faster, starting to expand your field into the higher dimensions, going faster towards the speed of light. It starts to collapse the time barriers. Ooh, there we go, and opening us up all the way out to the quantum field. Whew. There we go, and we're in. And that lets us access the non-particle field. Virtual particle field lets us access the non-physical world. And so let's come inside, and we're going to work with our energy body. So we come inside, we start to connect with our chakra column. It runs straight up the center of your body. Let's go start connecting at the root, the base chakra, right there in the pelvic floor. There you go. So we're starting there. And now we're going to create an inward spiral. Again, counterclockwise. You're looking down in your chakra column. It's starting at the root, starting to spiral up. So here we go, spinning upwards, and we're starting to clear density with the spin momentum, clear trauma, clear density out of the chakras. The vortex around us will take it out, spin it out, so spiraling from the root all the way up the body. Keep spiraling past the crown. There's 5 chakras above the crown. We're going all the way to the top, 12th chakra. Whew, here we go, up. Whew. And as we get up to the top, at the 12th chakra, this is where we connect to our higher selves. This is your God self, your higher self, your soul energy. I always see it as a brilliant light being at the top of your chakra column. You can do a heart-to-heart bond with your higher self, your God self. Ooh, make connection, because we lost this. We're making connection. And your soul is made of light and sound. So now we're going to start bringing the soul energy down the chakra column. So we're doing still anti-clockwise, but now the momentum is going vertically back down. So if you're looking up your channel, we're breathe down and in, soul light, soul sound waves, soul frequencies, soul essence, keep coming in. It's in a stream coming down the crown, into the body, into your chakras, soul consciousness, soul essence. Woo, and it flows down in and it fills into all the chakras down to the root. Woo. Starting to bring soul presence into you. And let's go to the heart. Let's imagine that heart like a container, just filling with soul love, soul light, soul presence. Ooh, there it goes, filling into the heart. And as it fills, it could even feel like it's going outside the body. So big heart container, just filling, and it's starting to vibrate and pulse like a big sun. Your soul light like a sun. Ooh. That's it. Good. We want that heart really filling with the soul love, soul light. And then last step is we want to neutralize polarity, because we just pulled the soul in. We don't want this push-pull of our polarity to push the soul out. All right, so we're going to use the infinity eights to neutralize polarity in the body, heart, mind. All right, so I'm going to help you with this. So we're going to run first infinity, and it's going to run horizontally at your heart. And another one, back and forth, left, right, bring, right, back and forth, weaving your infinity of light at the heart and at the mind. All right, we got it. Let's just let that run for a second. Starting to unify energies, it's starting to neutralize polarity, starting to balance opposites in the heart and the mind. And let's go focus into the center of the infinity in the heart and in the mind. And this is called 0 point. So it's 0 gravity. If you notice, right at the center of the infinity, nothing's moving. All the action's happening out there on either side, but in the center, it's still, it's 0 gravity. It's non-polarized. There's no polarity in the center point. It's very calm. It's neutral. Imagine breathing your energy into that calm, neutral balance point. And there we go, in the infinity, in the heart, in the mind. And it starts bringing all your biosystems into coherence, starts running the heart. Let's run it. You can run an infinity up and down between the heart and the mind, bringing them into coherence. Oh, there you go. And it just naturally starts to repel out the non-coherence. It starts repelling out that polarized charge. And so we still got our big vortex spinning. And so let's flush out, spin out, clear out all that polarized opposition, all that non-coherence, up and out of the physical body, emotional body, mental body. Woo, up out. We spin it back to source light, to be transmuted to light. There it goes. We don't spew this out. When we spin it out, we clear it out, back to source, back to creator. So it can be reused again, transmuted and reused. Oh, and that starts to lighten everything up. And it creates this beautiful 0-point balance so the soul can stay inside. So you have your beautiful soul light stream coming down your channel, goes into the chakras, and then it fills into the organs, into the body. And so now let's command every atom and every cell to start to vibrate with the soul signature frequency. Imagine every atom is humming like a violin string, just humming and vibrating. Ooh, there you go, with your soul frequency, your soul vibration. Ooh. And that's starting to update all the way through you. All right, and so we're going to do some transmutation steps on the mental body and the emotional body, because we want to clear the mass simulation and we want to clear the emotional trauma, okay? So we'll start with the mind first. So we're going to bring down the channel God light. So it's a crystal diamond light. Just imagine it's flowing from source down your chakra column, down your channel, comes through the crown, starts to wash through your meridians and channels and chakras. Imagine like you're under a shower of crystal diamond light flushing through you. Ooh, it's very fluid. Just let it flow through, continually flowing through. And let's now really focus now into focus the light into the head, into the mind. And we're going to do some canceling here first. All right, so getting this purification God light running through the mind. And we cancel and revoke all vows, contracts, and agreements to forfeit soul sovereignty and participate in the 3D, 4D matrix simulation throughout all time, past, present, and future. Now, this agreement, this contract, this vow is null and void now. Imagine you're tearing up the agreement and putting it in source, refiner's fire, releasing it up and out of the field. Woo! Release it out, spin it out, clear it out. We do not grant permission to be involved in it anymore. Ooh, you might feel energies leaving. Ooh, we claim that we are sovereign beings and no longer participating in the lower dimensional operating systems ever again. We pull our power from it. We pull our light from it. We pull our consciousness from those lower simulations. Good. Imagine you're kind of pulling out of a web and you're stepping back inside your pillar of light, your divine pillar of light, away from the planetary collective simulation, away from the web. All right, excellent. Whew, you might feel it popping off the back of the brainstem, coming off the back of the body, out of the head. Whew. Relocating yourself in your divine pillar of light, right on your path of light. Good. We command all time barriers, blockages, energetic membranes and veils up and out of the body, heart, mind, and aura. This is separation consciousness. We spin it out, we flush it out, we command it out. Ooh, 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 out. all barriers, blockages, veils, energetic membranes, distortions up and out of the mind, the heart, the body. Whew. Oh, good job. Okay, that's lifting. Keep running the crystal God light, fleshing through the mind, through the brain, through the brain stem. Now let's clear at the back of the brain stem, back of the neck there. This is where the unconscious programming runs. This is where the simulation is running. So we're flushing crystal God light down through the brain stem, primal brain stem, to flush up and out all unconscious programming, all unconscious simulations. We unlock and flush out now. So it's like clearing software out of a computer. Woo, here comes programming out. Anything that does not serve you, does not support you, anything that limits you, harms you, we command out of the brain stem, out of the primal brain, out of the unconscious programming. And there goes more. Whew. Does not have permission to be here. We command all overlay grids from the matrix and any entanglement with the AI simulation to come out now. We spin it out, we command it out, we flush it out, cancel, revoke it now, and there goes more. Ooh, nasty stuff, out it goes. Ooh. Back to source light to be transmuted to light. Oh, excellent work, you guys. Okay, that was a good clearing, and you can keep doing that on your own. We're going down layers, and so as we remove that top layer, we're aligning with our soul's 5D ascension timeline into the higher holographic realm of enlightenment. So you're doing a reset in the mind, in the heart, in the field, reset to your soul blueprint, your 5D ascension timeline or higher, and resetting to higher holographic reality of enlightenment, of ascension. There we go. Whew, that reset's running through. Ooh, so not only do we pull code, but we can activate our soul code, our own soul code and blueprint. Ooh, that was good. And with our divine soul will, we choose to continue our physical incarnation in 5D and higher, and in our own divine soul's operating system now. So now you're resetting where you run your energy. Ooh, it's with your own soul code, soul blueprint, soul operating system. It's all inside your light body, waiting for you to give it your activation, give it your will, give it your light, give it your permission to turn on. Imagine you're like flipping the switch, you're turning it on. Good. Ooh. Okay, we're going to let that spin for seconds, taking hold. You might feel energy still clearing. It could be clearing for hours or days to come. We're just setting all that's outgoing to clear in comfort and ease back to source light. Okay, that's the mind. Now we're going to work on the heart. So that was the mental body. Now we're working on the emotional body. Okay, so let's focus on heart chakra, high heart, thymus, solar plexus, emotional body. You might even have a little bit throat chakra, but we're focusing on the front chakras here, upper chest. Bring the crystal God light down, flooding into the emotional body, into the solar plexus, heart, thymus, high heart, throat. Just let it flood in there. Whew. The light helps lift this out. So we're using the momentum of the light to command all emotional trauma and pain and suffering and grief to lift up and out now of the front chakras. We spin it out, we flush it out, command it out. Woo! And it's just heaviness lifting off. We release it back up into source light to be transmuted to light. Whew. So going into top layer, lifting out. grief and sadness and rage, just lifting the emotional trauma out. Ooh, pain and suffering. Ooh, there's another layer. Back to source light. You're giving your body permission to just let it go. Doesn't have to hold on to it any longer. Ooh. We're freeing our heart of the past grief and suffering from this earlier life or other timelines, other past lives. You're lightening up your heart. This is like you're lifting that compression off. You're lifting the density off. You're lifting the trauma off. There goes another layer. Good. And it's allowing the heart to actually start to open and breathe and expand. And let's bring more of your soul light into that heart. Bring more of your soul love into the heart as you're clearing it, you're opening it, you're expanding it so more love, healing, and compassion can come in and fill into your heart. Okay. Excellent. Now, just as I was mentioning in the class, as we open and clear, it allows more to activate. Okay, so we just opened the mind and we opened the heart. So again, streaming the crystalline God light down the crown into the brain, mind, into the heart. It's flowing up and down your spine and your chakra column, your meridians. There you go. That's your Kundalini life force. It's electrical current flowing up and down. Oh, let's now stream some of that crystalline light into the pineal, centered right between the left, right brain. Pineal is covered in microcluster crystals, minute crystals. So you're moving your crystal light into the pineal crystals. There we go. We're starting to activate more of the pineal. As you're increasing the light frequency in the pineal crystals. There you go. It's starting to elevate it up into higher octaves. We're going to spin around the pineal in the brain fluid, starting to activate the pineal crystal antenna. Woo, there we go. It's vibrating and humming. It's increasing higher octaves to, we really want to get it up to the violet light rays. Woo. There you go. Good. Activating our pineal antenna, our crystal antenna. This is what we use. It's our antenna up to our higher self. Now let's open up more of the right brain. So again, stream of crystalline diamond light coming down the crown. Let's now direct it into the dormant neural pathways in the right brain. So anywhere the right brain is dormant, it's not activated. There we go, starting to open up the neural pathways with more of your soul crystalline light, bringing it in to enhance your visualizations, enhance using this powerful holographic mind of yours, enhancing your psychic abilities. Just continue to flood the right brain with your crystalline light consciousness. Oof. And then we can also run a stream of the crystalline light into the third eye chakra, lighting up the third eye. And as you get in here, you're bringing your own soul super consciousness in to your pineal, your right brain, your third eye. You're claiming this as your sacred mind. You're getting in, you're making it your territory. You're updating it with your soul signature frequency. So it's just imagine you're claiming this as my sovereign mind, my private sacred mind, and we set that into motion. And so it is. Whew. And we're going to do the same with now the emotional body and the heart. So as we're getting into our mind and we're claiming it back as ours and we're running our own super light consciousness into our mental body, into our pineal, our right brain, our third eye. Let's now again do the same with the heart, dropping your soul light down into your heart chakra. Heart's the gateway to the fifth dimension. So deep breath, breathing, soul light, filling into the heart center. Breathing in love from your soul family, from your angels, from Mother, Father, Source. Breathe that love energy. It's increasing into the heart center, getting higher and higher into 5D frequency range. You can use the vortex spin to spiral up higher if you need to. In the heart. There we go. We're bumping up, going up in octaves. Spinning faster, beating faster, frequencies higher, love frequencies in the heart. It's starting to radiate that love energy all around your heart chakra. It's beginning to connect, a resonant connection to the 5D field, the 5D earth plane, the 5D hologram. So what's vibrating in love here, starting to get in coherence, vibrating with the 5D earth plane. You're starting to make a harmonic connection. Yes, there we go. We're starting to hit it. Just hold that. Opens us up to this holographic realm of unity consciousness. Opens us up to a field that's not polarized. It's loving, it's harmonious, it's compassionate, it's safe. And using your higher mind, your right brain, you can imagine, visualize, set your intention to make this 5D holographic plane your new home base, your new home. That's it. Let that run through you. Envision yourself living in this beautiful 5D earth plane. And so I have all this activating in the heart. We have this all activating in our holographic mind. We're going to start to ground this in. So now we're still spinning anti-clockwise, right? We're looking down, it's still spinning, but now it's moving all the energy inwards. Instead, we were using it to spin out. Now it's spinning. All the work we just did is coming in from the quantum field into the physical life, physical body, into your heart, into your mind. It's updating in your RNA and DNA. It's spinning in very fast, very fast. Grounding in, anchoring in, merging in, blending in. You can tap on your arms, tap on your legs, pulling it all the way in. Whew. You're grounding onto your 5D timeline. And your soul presence inside is activating more of your soul code, soul blueprint to live your ascension life plan and purpose. Oh, let that ripple up and down you. It's activating more of your soul code, soul blueprint to live your ascension, life plan, and purpose. Oh, there we go. We let that all take hold. Ooh. Spin in, ground in, take hold, lock in. Ooh. And there we go. That completes our activations for today. And so it is. And so it is. And you can stay in the vortex as long as you want, continuing to ground in, and at the same time, release what doesn't match your soul vibration, doesn't match your soul purpose. But it's a truly transformative process that you can do daily and really accelerate your 5D ascension. So that's it for the class here today, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Let me go back to Neil. He's there.